Hello and welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanziba Nawreen. In today's bulletin, we will present top and trending news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. At least 8 killed after car runs into crowd in Texas border town. Biden again demands action after Texas mall mass shooting. Jill Biden says Charles' coronation was just amazing to see. US to propose new rules for airline cancellations delays. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 opens to 114 million. Canadian fire crews battle blazes in western province of Alberta. Lionel Richie, Katy Perry sing for royal coronation concert. King Charles III takes day off after busy coronation weekend. EU's von der Leyen to visit Kiev to celebrate Europe Day. China tells US to reflect deeply over downturn in ties. Tourist boat capsizes in southern India, at least 22 dead. Fire deep in gold mine in southern Peru kills 27 workers. Biden's to host UConn LSU basketball teams at White House. Tiger Woods' ex-girlfriend says he used lawyer to break up with her. And Messi back in training with PSG after club lifts suspension. You are listening to Headlines Now News in detail. Police in the US state of Texas have said at least 8 people were killed and 10 injured after a car plowed into a group of pedestrians waiting for a bus near a shelter for refugees, migrants, and homeless people. Authorities say a silver gray SUV in the border town of Brownsville ran a red light on Sunday and mounted onto the side of the road where the people were waiting. Victor Maldonado, the director of the Ozanam Center, said he reviewed the shelter surveillance video after receiving a call about the crash. What we see in the video is that this SUV, a Range Rover, just ran the light that was about 100 feet away and just went through the people who were sitting there in the bus stop, Maldonado said. Police arrested the driver, identified as 34-year-old George Alvarez, and charged him on Monday with 8 counts of manslaughter, among other charges. The bus stop is across the street from the shelter and had no bench, so some people were sitting along the side of the road, Maldonado said. He said the SUV turned over after hitting the side of the road and continued moving for about 60 meters. Some people walking on the pavement were also hit, he added. The driver was taken to hospital for injuries sustained when the car rolled over, Sandoval said. Brownsville has long been an epicenter for migration into the United States and has become a major point of interest ahead of the May 11 end of pandemic-era border restrictions known as Title 42. It lies just across the border from Matamoros, one of Mexico's most dangerous cities. US President Joe Biden has called on Congress to pass gun control bills in the wake of yet another mass shooting that left 9 people dead, including the gunman at a Texas mall on Saturday. The Democratic president renewed calls on Sunday for Congress to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, as well as to enact universal background checks and end immunity for gun manufacturers. There is little chance the narrowly divided House and Senate would pass such legislation, although polls show most people in the United States support background checks. Once again, I ask Congress to send me a bill banning assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, enacting universal background checks, requiring self-storage, ending immunity for gun manufacturers, Biden said in a statement. I will sign it immediately. We need nothing less to keep our streets safe, he added. Biden, who has made similar pleas before, said the assailant at Allen Premium Outlets Mall in Allen, a northern suburb of Dallas, wore tactical gear and was armed with an AR-15 style assault weapon. The gunman killed 8 people, including children, and wounded at least 7 before a police officer killed him, police said on Saturday. Mass shootings have become commonplace in the US, with at least 199 so far in 2023, the most at this point in the year since at least 2016, according to the Gun Violence Archive. First Lady Jill Biden, who represented the United States at Saturday's coronation of Britain's King Charles III, said there was such beauty in the pageantry of the ceremony, and it was just amazing to see. You can't imagine that moment where you actually see the crown being placed on the head of the king and then on the head of the queen, she said during a telephone interview with the Associated Press after the ceremony in London. It's really surreal to see and experience that moment. Charles' wife Camilla also was crowned queen during Britain's first coronation in 70 years. His mother, Queen Elizabeth II, died last September after a 7-decade reign. An American president has never attended a British coronation, and President Joe Biden asked the First Lady to represent the US in his place. The White House said Jill Biden's appearance marked the first time that a US First Lady was present for a British coronation. She brought one of her granddaughters, Finnegan Biden, on the trip. It's my honor to represent the people of the United States, and I wanted to be here, Jill Biden said. It was so meaningful to me that I could bring Finnegan here, that we could travel together and experience this together, and it's meant a lot to both of us. The First Lady spoke as she and Finnegan headed to afternoon tea following the coronation at Westminster Abbey. The Biden administration is working on new regulations that would require airlines to compensate passengers and cover their meals and hotel rooms if they are stranded for reasons within the airline's control. The White House said President Joe Biden and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg would announce the start of the rulemaking process Monday. The rulemaking pledge continues a push by the Democratic administration to require airlines to improve customer service, and it comes just weeks before the start of the peak summer travel season. The aim of the rules would be, for the first time, to require airlines to pay compensation beyond a ticket refund and to cover expenses that consumers incur, including rebooking on another flight if the airline causes a cancellation or significant delay. There is nothing like the promise of a chapter closing to draw people to the movie theater, especially when tied to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This weekend, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which says goodbye to this iteration of the Space Misfits and its driving creative voice, director James Gunn earned $114 million in ticket sales from 4,450 locations in North America, according to studio estimates Sunday. Internationally, where the film opened in 52 territories including China, Volume 3 earned $168 million, giving it a $282 million global debut. Now it's time for global updates. Rain and cooler weather are expected to bring some relief to the western Canadian province of Alberta as fire crews battle more than 100 wildfires that have forced nearly 30,000 people from their homes. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith declared a state of emergency in the province at the weekend as a result of the blizzards. As of Monday morning, 105 fires were still burning and 27 were classified as out of control, according to the Alberta Wildfire Tracker. The agency said a day earlier that nearly 80 firefighters from other provinces had arrived in Alberta to help battle the blizzards. Provincial officials said the weather forecast was favorable for the next few days with small amounts of rain and overcast conditions, but they cautioned that hot and dry conditions were predicted to return. Alberta, one of the world's largest oil-producing regions, has been experiencing a hot, dry spring, and with so much kindling, all it takes is a few sparks to ignite some truly frightening wildfires, Smith said. The Premier provided an update on the situation at a news conference later on Monday, as well as spoke with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to discuss possible help from the federal government. A day after a gilded coronation ceremony watched by millions, King Charles III and Queen Camilla let others take the center stage Sunday as they took in a star-studded concert featuring Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, and others at Windsor Castle. The newly crowned monarch and his wife appeared to enjoy the show as Richie performed all night long, at one point getting up on their feet and swaying to the music. Other members of the royal family, including 8-year-old Princess Charlotte and Prince George, waved Union flags along with a crowd of some 20,000 gathered on the castle's east terrace. Charlotte and her mother Kate, the Princess of Wales, sang along as Perry, dressed in a gold foil ball gown, performed her pop hit Roar. Top Gun star Tom Cruise appeared in a recorded video message saying, "Pilot to pilot, Your Majesty, you can be my wingman anytime." The mixed program also saw performances by the Royal Ballet, Nicole Scherzinger from the Pussycat Dolls, opera singer Andrea Bocelli, and British band Take That. Even Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog made an appearance, joking with host Hugh Bonneville. The entertainment was interspersed with more serious moments. A message from Charles on the importance of environmental conservation was played, and the show was accompanied by a light and drone display with a nature theme. Prince William, heir to the throne, took to the stage to pay tribute to his father's dedication to service. "Pa, we are all so proud of you," he said. Concert-goers sang "God Save the King" as landmarks around the UK were lit up in colorful lights. Earlier Sunday, thousands of picnics and street parties were held across the UK in Charles' honor. The community get-togethers, part of a British tradition known as the Big Lunch, provided a down-to-earth counterpart to the gilded spectacle of the King's crowning Saturday. The events were intended to bring neighbors together to celebrate the crowning event as support for the monarch events. Critics complained about the coronation's cost at a time of exorbitant living expenses amid double-digit inflation. On the third day of his long coronation weekend, King Charles III rested. Monday was, after all, a holiday declared in honor of his crowning, and he had spent several whirlwind days of elaborately choreographed public festivities capped with an off-the-cuff cameo on American Idol. While Charles had no public appearances, other royals picked up the mantle of service the king had called for in declaring the big help out that was said to draw millions to volunteer a couple hours on their day off. Prince William, heir to the throne, took controls of a small backhoe with his youngest son, Prince Louis, in his lap as his family helped renovate a scout hut in Slough. After his father dumped a load of soil, the 5-year-old Louis, who has become a social media sensation for making fidgety faces during public appearances, wore a look of determination as he shoveled sand and piloted a wheelbarrow under the watchful eye of his mother, Kate, the Princess of Wales. It was the boy's first royal engagement, and he was rewarded later with a toasted marshmallow sandwiched between two chocolate biscuits. The volunteer work came after a weekend of pomp, circumstance, and partying for the newly crowned king and queen in an ancient spectacle Saturday. Thousands of public picnics and street parties were held Sunday across the UK in honor of Charles before the concert at Windsor Castle. The European Union's Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is traveling to Kiev on Tuesday to mark Europe Day together with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. The 27-nation bloc traditionally marks its peace and unity on May 9. On Monday, Zelensky announced his country would equally celebrate the day together with all of free Europe. Von der Leyen has already visited Kiev on several occasions since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine 14 months ago. She has been a major driver in providing support for the embattled nation and in setting sanctions targeting the Kremlin. Zelensky was in the Netherlands only last week, where he urged speed in having the EU welcome Ukraine as a member. Ukraine is officially candidate for membership, but formal negotiations have yet to begin, a process that could take many years. China's foreign minister told the U.S. ambassador on Monday that Washington is responsible for the downturn in relations between the two countries and must reflect deeply before ties can return to a healthy track, an official said. Pyongyang's comments follow a suspension of serious dialogue on a range of issues between the world's largest economies, increasingly at odds over tariffs, attempts by Washington to deprive China of cutting-edge technology, and China's claims to self-governing Taiwan and large parts of the South and East China Seas. China's foreign ministry quoted Qin as telling Ambassador Nicholas Burns that a series of erroneous words and dates by the U.S. since the meeting in November between U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese leader Xi Jinping have undermined the hard-won positive momentum of Sino-U.S. relations. The U.S. side should reflect deeply, meet China halfway, and propel China-U.S. relations out of the difficulties and back on the right track. Qin was quoted as saying, "The United States should correct its understanding of China and return to rationality," Qin said, repeating his earlier accusation that the U.S. is attempting to suppress and contain China. Beijing routinely cites U.S. political and military support of Taiwan as infringing on its sovereignty. A double-decker boat carrying more than 30 passengers capsized Sunday night off a beach in southern India, and more than 22 people, including children, died, officials said. Police officer Abdul Nazar said the rescue teams were expecting to recover more bodies from inside the boat after pulling it ashore from the muddy waters. He said India's National Disaster Response Force and the Indian Coast Guard personnel were engaged in rescue work and trying to find those who were still missing. The tourist boat capsized near the estuary of Purapuza River in Tannur, a coastal town in Kerala state's Malappuram district, and most of the passengers were tourists. Nazar said authorities were investigating the cause of the accident, and it appeared the boat capsized due to overcrowding. The dead, including children who had come for a ride on the boat during their school vacation, Sports Minister V. Abdurrahman told the Press Trust of India news agency, adding that 4 people in critical condition were admitted to a hospital. The state's chief minister, who visited the area Monday, tweeted his condolences to the victims' families and urged the district's authorities to oversee the rescue. A fire broke out deep in a gold mine in southern Peru and killed at least 27 workers during an overnight shift, Peruvian authorities reported. The Yanacuya mining company said in a statement that 175 workers had been safely evacuated after the accident, which happened late Friday or early Saturday. It said the 27 dead worked for a contractor that specializes in mining. Government officials said the cause of the fire was under investigation. Some news reports said preliminary investigations indicated an explosion might have been set off by a short circuit in a part of the mine about 100 meters below the surface. Relatives of the victims were brought by buses to the mine in Yanacuiha in the Arequipa region, where they were briefed by security agents. Some sat in front of posters at the entrance to the mine to wait for the bodies of their loved ones. Now it's time for business news. Today's New York stock closed price is 15,391.27. The NYSE Composite is increased by 10.40 points or 0.07%. Tokyo's stock closed price is 28,949.88. The Nikkei 225 index is decreased by 208.07 points or 0.71%. Shanghai stock closed price is 3,395.0036. The Shanghai index is increased by 60.50 points or 1.81%. Hong Kong stock closed price is 20,297.03. The Hang Seng index is increased by 247.72 points or 1.24%. Bombay stock closed price is 61,764.25. The Sensex index is increased by 709.96 points or 1.16%. Let's have a look on today's sports stories. President Joe Biden and his wife Jill plan to welcome the men's and women's NCAA basketball champions to the White House later this month. The University of Connecticut Huskies men's team beat San Diego State 76-59 in April to secure its fifth national title. The Louisiana State University Tigers women's team won its first championship by beating the University of Iowa 102-85. The invite to LSU became a source of controversy this year after the First Lady said in a speech that the defeated Iowa women's team should also come to the White House because they played such a good game. In recent decades, the White House has usually hosted only champions. LSU star Angel Reese tweeted a link to a story about Jill Biden's remarks. A joke, she wrote, along with 3 rolling on floor laughing emojis. On a podcast shortly after, Reese said her team should instead celebrate their title with former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama. Reese later told ESPN during an interview that she would go to the White House because she wants to do what's best for the team. The team visits are scheduled for May 26. A 30 million legal battle between Tiger Woods and his ex-girlfriend has escalated, with Erica Herman accusing the golf superstar of beginning their sexual relationship when she was his employee and threatening to fire her if she didn't sign a non-disclosure agreement she now wants voided. Herman, in court documents filed late Friday, also accused Woods of having his lawyer break up with her at an airport in October after falsely telling her they were going on a weekend trip. The lawyer then evicted her from Woods' $54 million mansion north of Palm Beach. The documents were filed in advance of a scheduled Tuesday hearing where Woods' attorney are expected to ask Circuit Judge Elizabeth Metzger to halt Herman's lawsuit against their billionaire client. They say the former couple's non-disclosure agreement requires all disputes be settled privately by an arbitrator, not in court. Herman, who managed Wood's Palm Beach County restaurant before and during the first years of their romantic relationship, argues that the non-disclosure agreement is unenforceable under a new federal law that says such contracts can be voided when sexual abuse or sexual harassment occurred. Her attorney Benjamin Hodges contends that Wood's alleged threat to fire her if she didn't sign the contract was harassment. Herman is separately suing the trust that owns Wood's mansion for $30 million, saying he verbally promised in 2017 that she could live there for at least 11 years, but kicked her out after 5. Wood's attorney J.B. Murray denies that the 47-year-old golfer ever sexually assaulted or harassed Herman, calling her accusations in court documents utterly meritless. Neither Hodges nor Murray responded to emails and phone calls seeking comment. Lionel Messi returned to training Monday with his Paris Saint-Germain teammates after the club lifted his suspension. The French team announced Messi's return on its website, posting a picture of the former Barcelona player running with the ball at the club's training ground. PSG did not officially say whether Messi's disciplinary punishment had been revoked, but a person with knowledge of the situation told the Associated Press that the Argentina star resumed his training after the suspension was lifted. The person spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to publicly discuss the matter. The move suggests that the World Cup winner will be available for PSG's next league game against Ajaccio on Saturday, barring an injury. With 4 games left to play, PSG tops the league standings with a 6-point lead over Lens. PSG had not specified the length of the suspension, though French media reported it to be 2 weeks. Let's have a look on today's weather forecast. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest update. Millennium TV US and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all LED TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.